Good morning. Good morning and good morning. It is cold to me. It is cold. I'm laughing because I just was running back up the stairs. And they've already broken the water line again outside. So of course I got up early enough this morning and have done everything necessary to make sure that I was in here on time and already, personal care taken care of. And as soon as I finished, okay, the line is broken. So they're fixing it now. But in fact, I need to turn this off because they're still out there doing whatever they're doing to annoy me early in the morning. But how are you? How was your weekend? What did you get done? What was good to you? What was not so good? I had a good weekend. I rested quite a bit, just trying to make sure I got myself back to square one, which is getting ready for the week. And, I watched some of the news, and the news was kind of stressful at times. So I stopped watching that. I watched the Oscars yesterday. And my favorite part of the Oscars was, of course, was when Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo did their medleys, and I was just yes, singers love singers, so I was extremely excited about that to see those singers doing their thing, and it was look defining gravity. I said, oh my God, they're so high and so beautiful. I just loved it. So anyway, I did watch a little bit of the Oscars, and basically I said, okay, well, I need to get myself together and do my word for today. So I was reading some stuff, and I said, what about the word placid? How many of us have that? In spite of everything going on, that we can still kind of maintain our cool, maintain our peace. Sometimes we can't. I just watch people, and sometimes people are ready to explode easily. No one's bothered them, but they're ready to explode. Because their level of what I would call tolerance of others is limited. I know for myself, you have to push me a long ways before I'll probably say much of anything. Um, and then by that time, I've not only heard enough, but I've been exposed to enough, experienced enough, frustrated enough where I will speak. But for the most part, I try to keep my peace, you know, hold on to my dignity, and let things just go, not unchecked, but at least trying to get people to take responsibility for what they do or don't do. So I found a poem this morning, and I said I wasn't going to hold you all long today, but I do think this word is really, really good. But I just don't know about where people are at when it comes to their own ability to be placid, to allow a period of quietness to come into them, and they hold on to it. Um, uh, I find that the news is provoking. Sometimes families provoking. Sometimes relationships are provoking. Sometimes that's what we do, and we do it well. Especially if we want to get on somebody's nerves, and especially if we know what nerve to get on or nerves to get on, we do it. And we do it, some of us do it well. I remember when I was little, my daughter used to know that, after we came home, we had a routine. I, had to do certain things to make sure she was taken care of course, her food, her homework, and then her personal care, and then, of course, her bedtime. But we were good on the first three. We struggled on four because my child was just a child that never needed much sleep, and she was nosy. So, little kids, and I so I find that that was my most difficult time, and it disturbed my ability to be placid, my ability to be peaceful and quiet and calm. It's like all gone. My eyes are running this morning. So, I just had to just take on what would make it work. And it took me a minute. It took me a minute to figure out what it is that more that I needed to do in order to get her to do what needed to be done. It just took me a minute, but eventually it worked out. But anyway, a poem I found this morning, it says A Placid Moment by Walterine Sally. Walterine Sally. And it says, immersing myself in a quiet time, I lay still for a moment, my thoughts far removed from the order of the day, tuning out every ordinary thing heard or felt, and placing them with nothingness. I allowed quietness to secure my surroundings, peacefulness to arise within, and calmness to control. As good thoughts flowed, a smile etched my face, donning my vestige. How placid, how peaceful, how divine. I love the poem. When I read it early this morning, I said, oh, that's good. That's good. How many of us in the state of what we're going through right now, with so much in the news and so many changes and so many things out of our control, what do we do to find our peace? What do we do? I don't know. Sometimes it might be turn off that TV, stop listening to the radio, maybe turn off your phone, put a do not disturb sign on your phone for a minute, maybe for 30 minutes, maybe for 15, to just say that, I'm going to pull back for a minute, not answer every email that comes in, or try to, because a lot of it's spam, or text messages, because a lot of it's also spam. How do I do that? How do I get to the point where I'm comfortable in who I am by not needing or thinking about responding to what I don't want to be a part of? It's difficult. I remember when they had when I was a child, they had the phones that they only rang, and I remember my of course my folks having a 3-party line, and my mother would just say, look, it's time for you to get off the phone, I need to talk now. We were real little. I was real little when that was going on, but nonetheless, it happened. You see, that was the time. Now you're basically carrying your phone with you. So that means somebody thinking, if I got her phone, his phone, I'm going to call him anytime I want to. And if I can't call him, I'll text him. If I can't text him, I'll email him. And because all of those things still come into their phone, guess what? They have access. So anyway, what is placid? Well, placid is serenity, free from interruption and disturbance. How many of us are free from interruption or disturbance? Not many of us. I don't care who we are. Not many of us. Probably the person that might be free and, from any kind of disturbance is the person that's, asleep, or the person that might be having, a period of dementia, or Alzheimer's. They're not disturbed. In fact, a lot of times they're very pleasant because they're in their past and not in currently what's going on. So you get that. So it says that, placid is also being composed, collected, cool-headed, level, peacefulness, sedate, having serenity, having themselves together, just that they're not going to, delve into things that either don't require much of them, or they're not going to put themselves to, add into the conversation. They're just going to leave it alone. And then also it talks about having tranquilness, just understanding that I don't need all of that. I'm going to stay over here. I don't need all of the activity that's going on with this subject or with this situation or with this person or with those individuals, because it might be a group, so we have to talk about placid means, your personal peace, your personal, non-interruption, and your personal non-disturbance, and so that's why I posed the question, do you know what it is to be placid? And some of us do, and many of us do not. Many of us do not. We answer the call, especially if we were raised in a generation where you respond to everything, socializing through, social media. That says that you're probably not placid, because if there's something going down and it falls out on Instagram or on X or Facebook or whatever, wherever the post is, if there's a lot of followers, then guess what? Or even TikTok, because TikTok is another major source of information, and people go to it. And so next thing you know, it's like 1 million members, 1 million viewers, and 2 million. And so they can just go viral. They can go viral with what's going on. But when we break the word down, my P is for peaceful. How do we find peacefulness? That means at some point in time, we've shut down things that whatever they were going on, they could go on over there and over there, but they're not going on here. One of the things I always loved about coming into my house is that I like it quiet. I like a little jazz on, and maybe if I'm going to watch the TV, I like the TV, but I don't want too much talking and carrying on around what I'm listening to. That's my quiet time. And that's when I study, almost, in fact, I'm going to tell you something. I almost joined. Good morning, Joan. Good morning. Good morning. I was talking about, our word is placid for today. And I was about to join a group that for 10 minutes a day, it teaches you new aspects of history. Not that the history is changing, but just new ways of getting it and retaining it. So I thought that was pretty good. Good morning. Good morning, OJ, my friend from undergraduate school. Hey, girl, how are you? It says, peace is a conscious choice we learn with age. Absolutely. 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 That's wonderful, OJ, because, I know that, after a while, you stop running after what's loud and what's booming, and you start trying to figure out what's in me that just says, I want to be peaceful. I want to be comfortable. I want to be, in a position that I know what I'm doing and how I'm doing, and not running to find out what they're doing and how they're doing. It's simple. It's really simple. So anyway, I said peaceful for my P, and it says untroubled by conflict, agitation, or commotion. Sometimes, let's face it, we will run to something bad going on instead of running away from it. I tell you, anybody that knows me, if there's something going on, I'm not going to stop and try to figure out, if they're running away from something, they're running to something. Okay, I'm probably running in the opposite direction. Yes, I just, I don't play it like that anymore. And I've never really been like that. I never really been all up on everything that was going on. But it says, good morning. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you? Peace is a beautiful thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. I always have talked about the fact that when I see people, and like I can think of all three of you that are in, that I can actually see that looks into my vlog, I know you all three to be peaceful people. Peaceful in terms of what it is that you want in your life, what makes it, nice, what makes it comfortable, your husbands, your spouses, your friends, your children, whatever it is, you find peace in them. And I love that. I love that about all three of you. Perseverance. Yeah, perseverance is good. because I think sometimes we do have to persevere to remain personally intact, because someone's always going to pull us to their left, their right, their up, their downs. And we're sometimes, because we love them as family or friends or lovers or whatever else, we roll with them until we realize that we have to get back to just the peace and the peace. So my peacefulness talks about it being tranquil, calm, serene, and there the word is again, placid. Keep it simple. Placid is cool. It just talks about, hey, I just want to be peaceful. I want to be cool-headed, collected, calm, level in my own understanding of who I am, not worried about who someone else is. My L of placid, I have level, and that means level-headed, as in steady and unwavering. Okay, have you ever met people that if, they heard this particular, process going on and they liked it and they voted on it, yes. And then somebody else gives them another idea. Well, I'm going to change my vote. I'm going to go that way, and then somebody else, I'm going to change it again. I'm going to go that way. Well, that person is really undecisive. They cannot make a determination about what is right, what's accurate. In addition to peace being a choice, we also have to define it for ourselves. Absolutely, it's personal. In fact, that's why my whole session, it says, are you stuck? Because it's a personal thing. I may be stuck here for a minute, but I can go over there and run and frolic. But then I get back to this place, I'm stuck. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, OJ. It is absolutely defined personally for ourselves. Nobody else can define your peace. They can't define your comfort level of what is peaceful. So I said level for my L, and level talks about us being balanced, equalized, even, and would be an equate, just being, I'm right here. You don't have to look for me. I'm not up, I'm not down. I'm just right here. I'm in my middle, not yours, not in the middle of your business or middle of your conversation. I'm just comfortable where I am, happy, content, okay with what's going on in my life. Not saying that other things that are out there are not affecting my life, but saying that my peace is what gives me my hope and my trust, my way forward. Maybe even that my peace is also maybe where I find my ability to pray, my ability to say, this is above me. I can't do it. So therefore, I'm going to have to go up. I have to go up. And I don't necessarily need to go up with you. And I may pray for you, but I can't say that you're praying the same prayer I'm praying. It's personal. It is just personal. We move on a word of placid. My A is attitude. I love the word attitude because I believe that you have to have a certain attitude in order to ward off people pulling you to the left and to right, pulling you out of your peace into their chaos, pulling you out of their peace into their, angry, frustrating, misleading paths. And let's face it, when we love people and we think we trust people, we go down wrong paths. I don't care who we are. We've all done it. Certainly like OJ was saying, with age, we get better at it. We said, no, I ain't doing that. Thank you for asking, though, but I ain't doing that. I've gotten much more vocal about what I won't do. And so I truly say age has its purpose. It has its good side. Because I know for me, I have a couple of people that were older than me when they said it. And I think now that I'm older, I think about it and I say, yes, indeed. Where I may say more now about what I won't do than when I was younger and what I felt I had to do or what I felt was necessary to do. So I've grown. I've grown in that respect but my attitude, it says an attitude is settled in a way of thinking and feeling about someone or something, and then also yourself. That's your attitude. Authentic, yes. They always talk about your authentic self. And I think that's a good term, because our authentic self doesn't mean that we come with phoniness. We don't come with a lot of, extra, tie-ins. You see what you see, you get what you get. Nothing else. No matter what we're personally struggling with, we're not putting that out there. Oh, some people may, because they got to tell every story. But a lot of times they just say, listen, nothing's going to steal my joy, nothing. And I always remember my mother and grandmother saying that no matter what went down, even though there were things that were horrific that they lived through, that they lived through. And, and I think I've been telling you, I've been going through doing some of my family history. And, I'm back to like 1841 on one side, and 1831 on another side. And, you can see when their names were taken away and they were just given the name of whoever owned them, and so when I looked at my mother and my grandmother and I heard them say nothing will steal my joy, that had to be my mantra. That had to be my mantra. And so I try to live as best I can, trying to be authentic to who I am. I've gotten, as they say, I've come too far to turn around, can't turn around. And I've gotten old enough to know that I can't make anything through magic. It is what it is. It is what it is. Good morning, Miss Rosie. How are you doing? Today our word is placid. And placid means serenity, free of interruption or disturbance. And I know that in your lifetime, just like all of ours, we've experienced some interruption of or disturbance in our lifetime, but we learn how to maneuver around it, through it, over it, under it, whatever way we got to go, just to make sure we get to the back to that level of what placid is, which is finding peace. So attitude really addresses our behavior. And sometimes our behavior may be that people think that we don't hear anything just because we don't say anything. They think we don't know anything because we don't expound on things. Or they think that we're going along with something because we never indicate where we're at. And sometimes that middle shelf is the shelf people try to jump on or try to push out away, because the high shelf and the low shelf are more what I would say determined shelves. People understand. High shelf mean you're in, that's the best stuff to have. And the low shelf means, well, you're struggling, but you still may have some potential, or you're out. They may look at it either way. And so, I look at my life in the fact that some things I want to remain in the middle on. I want to find my peace on it. I don't want to be too far down or too far up, So anyway, so attitude talks about how you think, your own viewpoints. And sometimes we don't want to give our viewpoint because that may pull us out of our peace. That was good. And it says, and they have a way of looking at things. It may have your own school of thought, your outlook, your angle, your slant, your opinion. How many of us have opinions? Sometimes we can't even express our opinions because other people's opinions are much more louder than what we could imagine raising our voices to talk about. So we don't. We leave it alone. And so we may be the silent voice in the room, the placid presence in the room, but nonetheless, still good, still trying to do as best we can to understand who's in the room and what are they saying. Because I still feel that it's necessary for us to be thinkers and finding our peace in, what I call rooms or areas or in with folks where they constantly have things detonating off, where there's bombs, they're waiting for you. They're waiting for you to step on something so that you can pretty much, lose your cool. And I've just decided that the older I get, the less I want to play that. And so I won't do that. So the attitude also speaks to just your ideas and your way of thinking, or your ways of thinking. Because I think you may be positive on some things, negative on others, and still be peaceful with yourself. But if you express it, it may change your peacefulness, plain and simple. My C in Placid is for just the ability to find calmness, not showing or feeling nervousness, anger, or any strong emotions. How many of us get to do that lately? There's probably been a lot of things that are going on in the world or in our personal lives that have pretty much unsettled us, have kind of rocked us to our core. And what do? We probably, in some instances, feel helpless as others, and other instances we may talk, but we talk in a small silo of people because you don't know how else you could be being cautious. Just, that's a wonderful word. Wonderful. Placid is someone who's being cautious about what it is that they want to get out in the ethers. They don't want it to be something that's constantly, available for folks. You just want to leave it, unnecessary, just totally unnecessary conflict. Because if you can avoid conflict, that's what you want to do. And the person that is placid is going to do everything in their power to avoid conflict. That's what they're going to do. But to be calm talks about not showing this nervousness, angerness, or strong emotion, but it's also looking at how quiet am I? How peaceful am I? How placid am I? There it is again. How hushed, Hushed, am I? Tranquil, okay? How many of us seek tranquility? Sometimes when we go in our houses, that's the only time we can get it, and we close the door. We close out all of the noise of the street, of the road, of the raised voices, of the, just of all the demands of what is outside our front doors or even our back door. So we look at that, and we some of us long for that quietness, but some of us are out in working in jobs or in the limelight in such a way that more is required of us to give our opinion, even though we may not want to, or we might not even be comfortable with it. But we certainly, as Joan is saying, we need to be cautious about it. We need to be. My I of Placid in Placid, and that's PLACID, is identity. What is your identity? It says the identity is the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. And when I think about my identity, I think you could probably say, or I would say, there's several things that can lead out to who I am, and if we were to describe ourselves in 5-6 different ways, we would say we are a listener. We might be, a mother, or we might be a writer, or an author, or a singer, or a teacher. We might do descriptive things about who we are, but the identity talks about what specific things about us that we can say. Improvise. Okay, come on. Yes, because sometimes we can't improvise of who we are. Thank you, Joe. We can. But identity is not only being able to say who we are, but to know who we are. So that means my name is. What's your name? Where's that song? What's your name is? What your name is? That's us. What is our name? And does it have a meaning? Did our parents, did we ever ask the question, Mom, Dad, what's my name mean? I looked my name up once and it meant lover of mankind, helper. Okay. I think it's fitting. I don't know if Lily and Johnny knew that, but, and it was actually a derivative of Alexandria, but it's Sandra. Okay, there you go. So that's that's how I ended up with that name. But my mother said she was naming me after somebody famous at the time. Okay, I don't know who that was. Um, but anyway, name identity talks about the name, maybe some specifications about you, maybe the identification of you, maybe the recognition of you, like who is this person? What do they do? Where do they live? Where are they from? Love it. Hey, Kiwanis. Hey, how are you? I saw your pictures, you and your husband at the Roddy Guard. Look good. Look good. Look like y'all were having fun. When we have something that speaks to our identity, we also talk about, are we pinpointing who we are, what we're all about? Does it point to the fact that we are this, that, or the other thing? Or do other things show more visible than what we think? Does it show up like that? It says, my mom told me that she named me after Joan of Arc. Okay. Joan of Arc. Yes. A warrior. Okay, come on now. Do any of you know who you were named after? How about you, Kiwanis? You, Cheryl, you know who you were named after? I thought my mother said it was, I think she said Sandra D. Well, I don't understand how she got there because, I had nothing like Sandra D. But Sandra D was an actress. I think she thought that I had that I might have some acting and singing ability, which I ended up having the singing. I don't know about the acting, but anyway, there you go. I'm not quite sure, but it always made me get tickled when I would ask her, because through the years she kind of forgot what it is. Okay, yeah, you're gonna forget something. Well, I kind of forgot that. Let's see. My D is for deliberate. I think when we are placid, we deliberately want to be placid. We don't want to be red. We don't want to, step out front. We just want to be calm, cool, collected, quiet, individuals. That's what we want. So, deliberate says marked by or possessing discipline. That's who we are. We want to be our own disciplinarians of where we are, what we're going through, and we'll let you in if we want you. But if we don't want it, you're not going to know it. You're not going to know it. Let's see. My mom means to build or make oneself known. Okay, my name. Okay. American Indian and same as the Kiwanis Club. Middle name after dad, Jim. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. I figured it was Jim instead of Jim. Decent. Okay, decent. Oh yeah, absolutely. Deliberate I said deliberate. You said decent, and I believe that's true because I think I always remember. They always talked about things. The Bible says that we should be decent and in order. And so I always try to remember that, or maybe it written specifically in the Bible like that. I'm not sure, but I know a lot of people, religious people that I've been around, talk about being decent and in order. So anyway, deliberate says marked by or possessing discipline, which means you're in control. Nobody else is telling you what to do, when to do, or how to do it. You are the one in control. It says, and you exercise your own restraint. You know that there's certain things that you don't want to get involved in, and I'm going to tell you something about Sandy. There's 3 things that you can love me, but there's 3 things that you hardly will ever hear me speak on. One is religion, because whatever your higher power is, whatever you get your feeding from on life, that's yours. And so I don't talk about religion. I do not talk politics. I do not talk politics. And I do not talk weight because sometimes people are very sensitive about their weight. I was one of them. So I don't delve in it. I don't stay there. I just allow people the freedom to be whoever they are and stand on it. Stand on it. Be deliberate, and in control about what it is that you will have conversations with people about, or not, because I personally feel that if my conversation, with holding it only with in my head, then that's me. But if I start having a conversation with you and you and you and you, and it's about something that we needed to speak to collectively, then I'm already starting to break down some things. So I make it simple. Those three things I don't talk about, and I leave it at that. I just leave it at that. Cheryl, beloved dear one, mom named me after a boat, the Cheryl Ann, when she was living in Washington, D.C. Wow. Wow, when I was living in Washington, D.C. That's wonderful. I love it. I mean, we sometimes don't even know the origin of what our parents and then forefathers thought about on how names were named. Like, I've been looking for my mother's grandmother, who said she was named after her, my mother's mother. No, my mother's grandmother, I had it right. And her name was Lily, but they called her Dandy. Okay, no, I don't know how she got that, but they called her Dandy. And so I was looking back through the history to find out Dandy. Wow. But I didn't find it until I went to a site that had taken in a census. And I think the census might have been around 1920 census. And it showed her as Dandy Milam. And I said, oh, wow. I didn't know that. So then it went back, and then it had her name in parentheses of Lily. So that's how I found it. So my mother was named after her. But that's that digging through history. But deliberate for me says that I want it to be decent in what information, thanks, Joan, that I put out there. So deliberate talks about possessing discipline, being controlled, restraining yourself to certain things, being inhibited. So not uninhibited, meaning you'll say anything, but inhibited, meaning can't say everything, I think. Can't give all the information. And it says also being curbed, meaning that you right there, you need to stay right there, you stay right there. Measured, I say Carney was named after a doctor in Montgomery, Dr. Carney Leslie. His mom was a nurse. His nurse. Wow, that's wonderful. See, this is just like a little memory lane, but it's also putting us in the context of understanding that, we can be placid. We can know little things about ourselves. We can share them only if we want to, and be comfortable with it. But anyway, finishing up deliberate, it says it's also measurable, reasonable. It's measured, meaning we've measured how much information we will give out. Thank you all for giving that. And it says that it's reasonable to us when we're able to give it. If it's not reasonable, then we're not going to go there and be like the talking book and tell you everything. And then it says it's somewhat mediocre, meaning we may only give you some pearls, but we're not going to give you the whole string of pearls. We're going to give you a little bit, but not everything. So you only see a little bit of us. And then deliberate also says it's your usual. It's where you feel most comfortable at. That's deliberate. Okay. This was good. I get into this. I really appreciate you all coming in here with me doing these things. But one thing I was watching, if you ever get a chance to watch What's Next, it comes on Sunday nights. I tape them all. It comes on Sunday nights about, I think maybe about 10:35, maybe 11:05. But It's on locally. I know it's ABC carries it. And oh my gosh, last night they were talking about just the kind of stuff that I'm doing, that we have to continue to find purpose every day that we live. And it says some of the things are making sure that you're exercising, learning new stuff, learning words, and talking, having a discussion to make things yours, make things interesting, exciting, you know, leaning in and leaning out of stuff. It's like giving a little bit of information and then coming back, thinking about it, where you can go back and do more research. But it says that all this kind of stuff is good. And it says also socializing. So I feel that even though I don't see you all, this is a form of our socializing to keep us going, keep us moving forward, and living our lives to our best abilities. But look, I love y'all. I'm going to be back on Wednesday with another word from Are Ya Stuck? Absolutely, we get stuck. We get stuck on absolutely everything out there. There's no way for us not to be occasionally stuck with something, for something, or by someone, okay? But nonetheless, I'll be here on Wednesday with another word. Be ready. Be ready. Come on in the place. Have 35, 40 minutes of good interaction, okay? I love you guys. I appreciate you. If you don't do anything else, hit that share button and let the information be shared. Blessings and love. Love to you too. Oh, listen, also, for those of you who know Deb's in the room a lot with us, her grandnephew was outside playing, and his parents were burning some brush, and somehow or another it ended up that the child, along with the parents, didn't realize there was poison ivy in the brush, and it ended up affecting all of them to the point where the child is fighting for his life. He's 4-year-old little boy, and I think they said his name was Brent or Brentley. So would y'all put up a prayer for Brentley, please? I love you guys. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all on Wednesday. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you too, Quanis. Bye-bye. Have a good